You're being recorded. Go ahead. For the second time this century.
For your entertainment pleasure. Yeah.
Greg.
Gordie's coming.
And Gordie Cumming, his brother.
Yeah. Yippee.
There will be two parts. The first part, walking through Inlet. The second part is the rest.
Yeah, the rest. We're trying to get you out of here before 11 o'clock. Before we start, my brother and I said we got to do a disclaimer. The, what do you want to call it? The statute of limitations is off, okay? So, and if we have a little colorful language during this whole thing, it's just the way it was.
I think everybody was over 10 here, right?
Yeah, okay. The first part, the other day I started up at Zone 3. And for whatever reason, those pictures did not show up on the card. But anyways, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the buildings that were there, what they are now. You'll see, like, I'll go to Zone 3 in a second. But, like, this is the lot where Marcel Fortin's house was, right next to Easy Mart. Before that, after it was Marcel's house, it was a beauty shop, a gift shop. Finally tore it down.
Joanne had a gift shop there.
You had a gift shop there, right?
Yeah.
Gift shop? Okay. And what's that? Hollis Ross lived it. And right next door to that, towards the laundromat, was the house that Marcel built, and that burned down. And that was, if I remember, one of the houses that had poured floors in it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? And that caught fire. It went. I mean, there was no stopping it. But anyways, Zone 3, this is what I want to tell you this. That was Buster's house, correct? First. And when it burnt down, I was a little kid when it burnt down, and my father was a fire chief. And anyways, he fell through the floor, screwed up his knee. He was laid up for like a whole summer with crutches. So we sit out in front of the store one day, and he said to my mother, he said to me, he said, go upstairs to the gun rack and get some shotgun shells. I was 7 or 8 years old. And that was something, you know, you didn't do that. You never touched Dad said, don't touch it, you don't touch it. So as I went up, I got a half dozen shotgun shells. He said, he goes, now I never want to see you do this. And he took out his jackknife and he cut the ends off, he dumped out all the gunpowder, and he lit it. Of course, a big flash went up in front of him. My mother was in the store. It was in the middle of summer, and she came running, what the hell is going on? I should have known better. Gordie, I should have known better. So here's where this is going. So I didn't do that. But about a month later, I went over to Closed department store, and I bought. They called them safety flares. They were actually fireworks. I cut the ends off them, piled up all the gunpowder, and I said to Gary, "I want you to light that." The first match didn't take. The second match, the third match took, and when it went off, he was standing right over it, and there was a big flash. And he looked up, and he goes, "Oh." He just had little embers left for right. But anyway, so anyways, okay, that was Zone 3. Okay, go ahead. This, over before his Easy Mart, was Agway gas station. And it was JR and his dad had it, correct?
Right.
And where's Dale? Didn't your dad own that too at one time?
Easy Mart? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what I thought. All right. Go ahead. Of course, and this was Reenie's garage before it was an apartment house. All right. This was Laporte's house, mill house, whatever you want to call it. And another quick story about that. When we were little kids, Gary and I, Emma Laporte babysat us. And I had the habit when I was a little kid, I would take my clothes and throw them down the stairs. And I'd get dressed down at the bottom of the stairs. We lived up above the grocery store. So here we are at Laporte's. I'm upstairs. I take my clothes and throw them down the stairs. And Poonie looked up and said, "What the hell's wrong with you?" But so anyways, and how many people remember Peanut? The Peanut would always come to the store, and he would always buy a 6-pack of Genesee beer, 16-ounce bottles, and he would always say, he always called me Mr. Greg. He goes, "Mr. Greg, I think I like that them turnips. Give me some of them turnips." He would never say beer, you know. And that was always his code. He'll give me a 6-pack of Genesee, put it in the bag. He'd come up to the dump, and he'd tend to dump.
Who was Peanut?
Peanut was Emma Laporte's brother.
Okay.
Right, Dale? Yeah. And we were going through that the other day. How many kids did Emma have? There was your mother, Sweet, Teapot, Pooney, Bugo, Linda, Dorothy. Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, it was quite a try. Yeah, so that's, and go ahead.
One quick story on Peanut. He used to work for the town, and he worked with, oh God,
Chucky Pierce.
Chucky Pierce. Okay, now during the winter, they had to sand the road. They sanded the road from here all the way to Blue Mountain. And they stood in the back of a truck, and they had a
Dump truck.
had a spreader, and they shoveled sand in that spreader. Now you imagine it's about 30 below zero, and they're standing in the back of that all the way to Blue Mountain. That would never happen.
Oh, no.
Never
Push
happen.
it? Yeah, right. Now, I took a picture of this because, and Dale, you can attest to this. This is Haru's garage, but Patrick's house was there before that. And I remember going in there with you and Michael a few times, and there was holes in the walls and stuff before you got to it. What's that?
It was haunted.
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is right across from that, and Brigham's trailer was back here. And then over here, actually, I did bring this for a reason. I couldn't find it. All right. So right about there was a house at one time that Rini had towed up from by the St. Anthony's Church. That's where the big parking lot is above the church right now. There was a house there, and he towed it. I bet if you go back down there, there's probably remnants of it still there. And back behind that was Jack Day's house.
I got a picture of the house when I went.
Oh, do you really?
I'll show
Okay. And do you want to talk about Jack Day at all, or?
Yeah. Does anybody remember Jack Day at all? Yeah, okay. He was kind of an old hermit, had a place down there by the creek. And I'm sure everybody's seen the sign Jack Day Trail. But anyway, he had a place down there on the left.
It says Jasper now.
No, it's Jasper Day.
Yeah.
Say Jas.
Well, whatever. Anyway. So anyway, Dad kind of took him under his wing. He was an older fella, and he got sick, and he just wouldn't take care of himself. So Mom would make dinner for him, Dad would take it up, and he probably had about 30 or 40 cats. I remember that. So anyway, when Jack finally passed on, Dad says, "Come on, Gordie, go get the 22s. So we're going." He said, "Just don't worry about it." So we went up, and we shot every one of those cats because nobody would want them.
Yeah,
So we had no choice to do what we had to do. But Jack he was a colorful individual. And,
yeah.
but anyway.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
So this I don't know who owns this now, but that was where George and Mildred Blakeman lived.
Is Mike here tonight? Mike Schmidtman? Is he here? He owns that now.
owns
He remember the Legion, by the way.
And this was Ted Payne's garage when we were kids, and I'm looking around. But anyways, and now it's Mike Marlowe's workshop. And of course,
Is that too soon?
was
Can we
it?
go
No,
back?
that's fine. That's fine. Of course, this is the Inlet School, and I'll tell you this, well, we all have stories about going to school, but the only time I ever got in a fight in school was with Jimmy Dene. And I was in 4th grade or 3rd, anyways, long story short, we're over here fighting, wrestling around by the little house. Oh, he gets up and takes off. I said, "You big chicken, you running away from me." And this hand came out of nowhere. She grabbed me. It was Mrs. Ross. She snagged me by the neck. "You want to fight? You can come in here until I go home," which was like, I thought it was forever, but it was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's Mrs. Ross right there.
She's one of the meanest teachers going, I'll tell you.
You know, I always thought she was a giant of a person. Of course, when you're in 3rd and 4th grade, you're like, and I saw her once after she retired. She came up, she was good friends with her, and she was a little old lady. You're like, that's
One of you
Mrs.
guys
Ross.
there?
What's that?
And one of you guys in there?
I'll go right through it. That's John Dene, Linda Fortin, that's me, Diane Thibodeau, that's Joey Waldron. Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot more hair then. That is Linda Starr. That's Joan Payne. That is, hold on. Oh, that's Connie Payne right there. Connie Payne, Carol Egenhofer, Marta Landers, Renee Haru, Lorena Payne, and Suzanne Fort. And that's the whole school. That's everybody. That's you, Dale, right there. That's your brother, Michael. There's Jimmy Dunay. That is Elizabeth Waldron. Peter, I think that's you. That's Kim Oswald.
You're at the bottom, aren't you?
That's me at the very bottom. That is Ed Mahoney, John Oswald. Ed Mahoney, they lived up on 7th Lake. John Oswald. Can't remember. Eddie Hiller, or Hillier. They lived where the Cinnamon Bear is, and they ran in Syracuse. That's Diane, I gotta back up, Diane Thibodeau, I think that's Larry Fortin. That's Marta Landers again, John Dunay, Lorena, Renee. That's one of the Fortins. Carol Egenhofer, Dennis Thibodeau, Suzanne, Bob Payne. Oh, that's Suzanne Fortin. Bob Payne, Linda Fortin. Ronnie Fort. Not sure. Jimmy Colell, Esther Pierce. Remember the Pierces? They were. He was the pastor of the community, the Church of the Lakes. That's Esther, Dale, Michael. Jim, I don't know. I can't remember who that is. Anyways, that's either Glennie or Richie Willis. Kim Oswald. I mean, yeah, that's. I think that's Glennie and that's Richie, or vice versa.
And how many kids do they have when they close the school? 3?
Who's the teacher up there? Glasses.
That's Roger Dupuy. That's Jerry Dupuy's brother.
Gotcha.
He was the principal. Joe Waldron, Terry Payne. She's passed away. Shoot, what the frig is that? Yeah, so anyways, that's Debbie Thibodeau. Anyways, that's Tom Payne. That's enough of that cast of characters. And, this was where Mary Nebusha lived. And her Utica Club can hats. Yeah. That's enough. Go ahead.
Mary, she always used to go up to Drake's and imbibe very heavily at Drake's. But anyway, she always maintained that she was going to be buried in Arlington Cemetery. And of course, nobody took her for real, but her husband, Ginger, he is buried, and she is buried in Arlington Cemetery. Everybody knows that was Dottie's Surfside Fit. Remember what else it was? Mama Dot's Coffee House. Not very long, but it was. Yeah. My father and Bill Brigham got to wrestling in there one time, and Dorothy swore up and down they were going to knock the house off the foundation before they got done. But this is the parking lot of St. Anthony's, and that's where that house was that Greenie towed up the road one night. There it is, right there, yeah.
Isn't that the Greens?
I don't know whose house it was. But, yeah.
Gordie, what year is that church?
This one? I don't know, Charlie, what year is that? Do you know?
1930s. I came from Bruce O'Hara.
It's, when I say it's not really real, when we were kids, we used to slide down that hill all
Must
the
be the
time.
40s or 50s, maybe.
It's because this church was at the roadside for.
Yeah, so this was
first
after
built,
that.
And then they moved it back.
Yeah, that happened in 1920 thereabouts.
That's when they moved it?
Yeah, so this is way past that
After
in a
that,
way.
yeah. Keep
This
that up for
is,
just a
you know
second.
this house here?
That is Molly Kaiser's house right there.
Okay,
That's whose house that was. And our house is right here.
right.
That was our house. That house, our grandfather, Grandpa Leonard lived there at this house. And that's Bruce Caldwell's house, Evelyn Caldwell's house. And Doc Fisher lived there after that. And then after that was, anybody remember the Harts and the Arnolds? Remember them? They weren't here long. There was like, they had a bunch of daughters, I remember that.
Ford House.
Oh, yeah. Remember? It was, you know,
The Ford house, is that what she said?
Originally, yeah.
the Ford house, really.
That's
Okay.
Mother's parents, I think.
And that's the lot, that empty lot is where Molly Kaiser and her husband lived. Of course, and this was Dodd's guest house. And then it was, she had a beauty shop, and Alberta had a beauty shop in there. And then Teapot and Marie lived there for a while.
I can go back if you want.
Charlie, can you go back to that one with the
Next one back.
next one back? Okay, this one right here. Our Grandpa Leonard, he lived there, and with his third wife was Murdy. Okay, now we were just little kids, and we wanted to go up and see him. There used to be a front porch right there.
Right here, that was an enclosed, yeah, front porch area.
So anyway, she wouldn't let us kids go in and see him. We had to stay out on the front porch because she was afraid we were going to dirty the house. So Mom used to get really upset with her. And of course, Grandpa Leonard, he was kind of infirm and he couldn't really do much. But and you guys, I know you two remember her.
Oh, well, very well.
Anyway, so just...
And the only memory I have of going in there is with your sister, Susie. And Grandpa Leonard gave us each a donut, and she wanted to know where we got the donuts from. Murdy did.
She didn't take them back?
Yes, she did. So I took them back.
So when she died, we heard she died, there wasn't any love lost.
There was not too many tears to shed.
She was just 6 foot deeper to where she's headed.
Well, Gordie, you and I kind of got even with her. We left about 350 dead shiners in the flooded rowboat on the dock
That's
behind
right,
that house.
We did this already, right?
Yeah, we did this one. Now, I remember what that was before it was John Fry's house. That was
Pinnell?
Colington's house.
Okay.
And Colington's had a gift shop on the front, what was called Colington's Tourist Trap. And he had one of the meanest frickin' collie dogs I've ever met in my life. I remember that. Getting chased by that dog down the sidewalk like that. And this, before this was, what do they call it now? Condominiums or whatever it is. But anyway, it was Red Pinellas. Phil, no, it was Red. Well, I call him Phil. But we call him Red. We always call him Red. But anyways.
They're both on the marker.
You lived with my aunt.
Well, then Dad bought it and turned it into the appliance store. And then he gave it to Gary, and Gary had the top taken off and put an apartment upstairs. And then after Gary passed away, Ruth sold it, and these people turned it into a condominium deal, whatever.
Quick story on that when Jerry owned it. He had the living quarters upstairs, and again, below was the appliance store. He had a jacuzzi tub put in, and he could never get the jacuzzi to work. And he just had everybody looked at it, it wouldn't work. Finally he said, if I want bubbles, I'll buy a can of beans, and fuck it if I want bubbles. Then he said, the other thing is I'm going to take, and if I know I'm going to die, I'm going to cover myself in Dawn soap and see if the fire department get me out of that tub.
One of the scariest times I ever had in that place was going upstairs, because it was always darker in the pocket upstairs when it was still the appliance store. My Aunt Ev had more crap than a Christmas goose. I mean, she had, you know, ornaments and decorations. Well, I walked in one of the bedrooms, because the bedrooms were still there. And on the bed was 2 garbage bags. And I just saw it, and I just turned around. Come to find out, it was a Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus that were wrapped up in garbage bags. Holy Jesus. Go ahead.
This part right here.
I'm getting it. There you go. Got it back.
No, to this part right here.
Oh, right over here? Yeah.
This part right here, this is the new addition on the store, Ted's place. But it used to be a garage, and we used to store stuff down below. Dad used to work there, and up above was storage. So for the gas business, we had, copper tubing, fittings, and all sorts of stuff. So when Dad was, he had some tough times getting around, but he walked with a cane. So I was up from Rochester visiting for the weekend. He said, Gordie, come on, let's go upstairs. I wanted to go up there and see what's going on up there. So we made it upstairs. So anyway, he took his cane, he poked to this box. It was a metal box, it was red. He said, what is that? I said, what? He said, that box right there. So I opened it up. I said, it's a brand new skill saw. He said, what? I said, it's a brand new skill saw. Never been used. Son of a bitch. He said, get a shovel. I said, what are you talking about, Dad? Just go and get a shovel. I said, where are we going? I said, he goes, we're going down to the cemetery. I'm digging Ev up, and I'm going to kick her right in the ass because I always accused you guys of losing that on the job, and she had it up there so nobody could use it.
Oh yeah. A lot of miles on that pool table. I don't know.
And more than, well, never mind.
Well,
how far do you want me to go on that?
That's enough. Yeah. Of course, this was a grocery store. That was the garage. They were talking. One time we put a roof on the garage, and Dad would not get up on it. He didn't like heights, so he had Gordie and I go up there, and you know, a roof in there. So we're up there putting half-lap tar and paper up there. And every time he looked up to see what we were doing, we'd say, "It's toot toot, break time, union rules." Break time, son of a! You guys are gonna drive me crazy. You're not doing anything. But anyway, so this is a store. Now, believe it or not, that was a boathouse that was down on the channel. And my grandfather towed it up. And if you went upstairs in the attic today, that roof line is still there. Yeah. And that, of course, that freaking sign must have weighed 500 pounds, I swear.
When we were kids in the summertime, this is a better shot of
That's a
that.
better shot of it.
This is all open right here. And what we would do, usually about Memorial Day, we'd start sleeping out there. We'd sleep out there every night. We had a couch and a mattress, and that's where we slept. And, you know, just, then we could see people coming and going, you know, whatever, water, whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't occasionally you throw water balloons off of there?
Well,
Well, if anybody doesn't know, this is our cousin Lenny. He's
So our cousin Lenny, our cousin Brad.
Cousin Brad.
Yeah.
Their friend Al.
And this building here that's now Greco's Taco Bar there, that was a coffee cup. Our grandfather built that building too, back. And it was the Fulton Chain, or it was Fulton Chain gift shop. I can still see the sign that was back there behind the grocery store. And this picture's made the rounds, I know. That's our grandfather, that's Aunt Ev, that's our dad, and that's our grandmother.
We figure this picture is probably around 31 or 32 because Dad was born in 26. So the kid there, again, that's Dad, so we figure he's maybe 6 or 7 years old, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there it is. There's again, there's the coffee cup. And there's the appliance store right there. But anyways, one time, this is going back, oh gosh, I just bought a new deer rifle. Dad was sitting up there, right there. He'd sit up there and have a drink at night. I was telling him about it. He said, "Well, where is it? It's on the truck." I said, "Well, go get it. I'd like to see it." I come up, I give him the deer rifle, and he's looking at it. He puts it up like this, and he aims it right at Pete Khalil, sitting right across the street. And he pulls the trigger. I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "It's not loaded." I said, "Of course it's not." Son of a bitch, it'd have been the best day of my life.
This is a better, I blew it up myself.
That's okay, yeah. And the coffee cup, Lois and Bill Billman had it when we were kids.
yeah.
And then, I'm trying to think who had it before Subas. I don't remember. But Dorothy,
Pointers.
no, Poyers had it after, oh, your mother had it. That's right, your mother had
that's
it.
it,
Yes, I forgot about that. And then Dick and Dorothy Suba had it. Then Danny and Shirley Poyer had it. I'll tell you, so Dorothy started, what's that?
Didn't Evelyn run it at one time?
She did as a gift shop, when it was the gift shop, yeah. So Dorothy decided she was going to make donuts, to sell homemade donuts. And so she made her homemade donuts, and she had a fellow come in and wanted to know if he could buy a dozen of them because they were fry cakes, you know. And he said, "Boy," he said, "I don't know how you got those fry cakes, that filling in the middle like that." But boy, they were undercooked. And that's a picture of Mom and Dad in front of the store. You see that bear trap? That was a Kodiak bear trap that Dad got from Lovell Cummings up in Blue Mountain. And to set it, you had to use a C-clamp. Bring one spring down, put a U-bolt over the spring, take it off. Well, I set it. Dad said, "I bet you can't set that." So I set it in front of the store. He goes, "Well, now, spring it." So I went down back and I got a chunk of wood. I was just going to throw it in. What the heck? No. Put the U-bolt. Oh my God, I was shaking like, I can still remember, I was shaking like a leaf because that thing took off. Holy frig.
When the jaws on that were opened up, they're like about
Oh,
that.
it's about 4 foot across. The teeth on it were about 4 inches long. It was a pretty impressive piece of machinery. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, this is a copy of our grandfather's, one of the receipts. We put that up there just to give you an idea of some of the prices, yeah.
1936.
1934,
Four, yeah.
if you can, there you go. 80 cents for pork loin, pork loin, yeah. 2 loaves of bread, 24 cents.
35 cents for eggs.
Yeah, tobacco, 20 cents.
Overcharged back then, too, didn't you?
Gotta make a living.
Hey. We didn't starve, that's for damn sure.
Obviously, yeah. You know, I'll tell you, when my mom lived in Racket Lake, there was her and her 4 sisters and her brother. And my grandfather was forest ranger. Well, the Dillons, you know, everybody charged like us, everybody charged at Dillons. Well, my grandfather said to my mother and all her sisters, is everybody feeling okay? What are you talking about? Well, here's what he did. He got 5 daughters. Somebody's going to be having some issues every month. So he put that on his bill every month, you know. But long story short, you know, there's
Grandpa Leonard, he didn't know.
he didn't know. He just got, you know. But anyways, he just every month they'd put, you know, feminine products on their bill every month. And what else? Well, another thing he would do is, let's say you had a camp, right? He would charge you, oh, I want a broom. Well, he put a broom on everybody's account. People complain, you take it off. Not everybody complained. But go back to the picture of the store. I got to tell you this. When we were growing up,
Just one at a time.
yeah, that's fine. As you walked in the store, 2 things. As you walked, if you remember the vegetable cases on the left, and there was our walk-in cooler right behind that. Well, in the fall, you know, we cut up a lot of deer for people, and we always cut up Gary Lee's deer all the time. Well, my mother had a hind quarter of venison on the butcher block in the walk-in cooler. Well, she walked in the cooler, she realized a cat had followed her in. Right? So, comes back out, shuts the door. The next morning, she opened the door, and the cat had eaten almost a whole hind quarter of venison. His stomach was so distended.
He couldn't walk.
He couldn't walk. He'd go over this way and paddle a little bit, you know, and he'd go over this way and paddle a little bit until he finally was good. We didn't see that cat for about a month, I swear. He didn't have to come home. But, and then as you walked into the store, past the meat case, there was the stairs that went down to the cellar. And in the stairs, we had a ring of keys. Oh gosh, it had to be about that. I asked Ted if he ever found any remodeling, so he did.
There had to be 300
Oh,
keys.
and I said to my dad one day, I said, you know, why do we have all these keys? We started laughing. I said, what's so funny about a ring of keys? He goes, well, he said, if we had a camp up here, where would you want to put an extra key, you know? So, you know, if you forgot your keys, oh, I see you put it above the windowsill, maybe a flower. Said, yeah, a lot of people do that. One spring, he and Jack Hall went around with a rowboat, and they stopped at every camp, and they picked up all the keys they could find, and then they switched around all the locks they could. There was a big run on locks that year. Go ahead. So of course, now that was the coffee cup, and that, of course, that was the Capitol. Anybody remember Gladdy? Yeah.
Daddy didn't let us go in there.
Well, there's a reason why.
They're real too.
Yeah, these aren't stories per se. Anytime there was a fire, she'd get out there and she'd direct traffic for the fire. Of course, the fire department was down the street. She'd always be about half in the bag. They lived upstairs, and I was out back one time, remember? Chucky was chasing Jimmy upstairs. You could hear it was like a freaking earthquake going on upstairs. And Jimmy came out the back door. There was a balcony and a set of steps going up there. Jimmy came out the back door. The screen door flew open, and I'm watching the whole thing. And he sidesteps, and Chucky goes flying right off the back porch. Lands out in the parking lot, you know. And he did break his arm. And Jimmy looked at him, you look just like Superman, Chucky. Go ahead. Well, that's Mom and Keith Behrman, and that's Dorothy Sue. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. But anyway. And that siding hasn't changed, I can tell you that.
Different color.
Yeah.
What building did Crystal Evans live in?
Oh, they lived, well,
On the hill.
right there.
Yeah.
At Dodd's Guest House, you know, that's where they lived. And I'm trying to think who was in there after Evans's. Teapot and Marie. Teapot and Marie LaPorte lived there for a while.
Talking about Kenny Bass
Kenny Dodd?
at the bridge. Yeah.
So when I was in first grade, first and Inlet, first and second grade were in the same room. We had Mrs. Cunningham was our teacher. So it was me, J.J. Murphy, and Kenny Dodd. For whatever reason, we all raised our hand at the same time to go to the bathroom. And anyways, she said, she said, J.J., you're the smallest, you go first, and then Greg, and then Kenny. For whatever, Kenny didn't like that. He sat next to me, and I had my hand on my desk like that, where he took his pencil and drove right down into my hand, busted it off. I was kind of I remember looking at it, and I raised my hand, and then he took off. He went up, took off. Well, Mrs. Cunningham, she saw me. She goes, "What's going on? You go to the bathroom, and then JJ comes back." So I turned my hand over, and she saw the pencil sticking out of it. So she took me upstairs to what was then the kitchen and library to dig the pencil lead out of my hand. As we go by that downstairs bathroom, JJ was in there. Kenny had kicked the door in, beat him up. He was still sitting on the toilet crying, you know. And she takes me up, and he was in the upstairs bathroom. Well, anyways, time goes by, and I was like third grade or whatever it was. And the bridge, the South Shore Road Bridge, I'm not too proud about this, but
You didn't have it.
had that cement walkway where it had you had the sidewalk on the side. There was two. So I said, Kenny Dodd and I were there, and I said, "But you can't walk across that bridge on the rail." I walked across that bridge. He says, "No, you can't." Yes, well, you get up on the bridge. He got almost all the way across, and I gave him a shove. And he didn't hit water, he hit land, and he's sitting down there crying. I said, "Do you remember me in first grade?" And that was the end of it. But anyways, of course, and this was your bakery, and before that it was Uncle Ted's Sunoco station. And I remember we used to get up there on the roof of that when it was the gas station, because they had a false front. And it was a great place to hide for chucking water balloons at cars and stuff, because nobody knew where they were coming from. But anyways, and of course, that was the firehouse, and now it's the library. When I remember as a little kid, Dad taking Grandpa Dewey through it. They had just finished, and I was maybe, oh gosh, 6, 7 years old. That's how ironic. And of course, I show you this because that was Colo's department store, and then that was Colo's grocery, still is, but I didn't get a very good shot, but way up there is a vent, all right, an attic vent. And I was going down to get the mail one day, and Mr. Colo, we were all Gordie to him. He said, "Gordie, come here, please help me." I said, "All right, what can I help you with?" He goes, "You see that?" He says, "I got a ladder, please, I'm an old man, I can't do this. Can you go up there, give me a whisk broom to sweep out the vent," right? My father's watching me across the street.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So we get done, and I walk back across the street. My father goes, "What are you doing?" I says, "Well, you know, he's an old guy. He's a little short. He can't get up there. What the hell is wrong with you?" I said,